I should probably get my Oculus to make a funny intro for this video, but nah, too much effort. What's up, everyone? My name is Biku. Shit, my hair's going everywhere. My name is Biku, and I am here to discuss what I think the future of VR holds. Now, I know everyone and their dog is currently talking about VR and Valve and HTC and Oculus and Razer even, and I think there's one other new company that's made a VR headset, or at least a phone one. But anyway, I'm going to be discussing what I think the future holds for the VR industry. Now, it might have initially planted its roots in gaming, and that is where I think it's going to stay for a while until it gets very, very realistic. So I foresee for the next maybe 2 or 3 years, it's just going to be basically, well, for the past 2 or 3 years and for the future 2 or 3 years, it's basically just going to be early adoption. For the people who want to be in the forefront of the new technology, you're going to get maybe 10% of gamers who buy one just to try it out, and from now to about 2 or 3 years, there's not going to be too many games for them. Yes, there are going to be some big games like Eve Valkyrie, and there was one by Valve, I can't remember what it's called. But I don't see it gaining its traction until probably about 2020, because then I can see the technology then I can see the technology growing to a point where it is even more realistic than it currently is. I can see then that there being 4K and beyond screen size. I can see then that the graphics cards being able to actually power such high resolution displays to be able to show the images at the high refresh rates that VR needs. And I can see there being more adoption because it's going to be cheaper, and it's just more people are going to be buying it because they're going to be, soon enough, you're going to see them on the shelves at your local store. I mean, even here in South Africa now, when you buy an S7 or S7 Edge, you get a free, what are they called? Samsung VR? Gear VR. So when it starts really picking up and the technology starts really, really growing, I can see it branching out into other fields. Like, for instance, the medical field. It would be extremely helpful for doctors to be able to practice on something that is virtual, so that they can practice their skills without having to actually practice on it, like, for instance, a dead body. So it'll be extremely useful for for doctors who are in training to get their skills, for combat, for instance, for soldiers around the world being able to put on a headset, and by then I'm sure there'll be some way of motion tracking so you can run around like the Virtuix Omni. So there'll be ways for soldiers to get better training in, I know it's terrible, but to get better training in killing people, essentially. Not that that's obviously going to be the only way, but it's gonna help the soldiers to train themselves, and it's going to mean that they can be put into situations that would be otherwise dangerous to simulate the conditions that they would actually be in, instead of just simulated missions where there's not a lot of danger. So that's another route I can see it taking in the next, from about 2020 to about 2025. And by the way, this is me not even talking about augmented reality. That is a whole different ballgame. That I'll talk about in another video. But virtual reality, I can see it also being used. It's already being used in roller coasters for simulated rides that make it seem even more dangerous than the actual roller coaster, and for movies, when you just go to the movie theater and instead of having a giant screen, you just put on your headset and watch it like that. It will take a little bit away from the whole dating experience of the movies, but I see it being an option, that you can choose between the virtual movie or the actual movie being played on a big screen. I can see, and this is something that a lot of people have talked about, but I can see it being used for disabled people. So people who can't walk around could maybe experience walking around walking up a mountain, or going, or skiing, or snowboarding, or it's kind of the same thing, or anything like that. They can experience it even though their disabilities don't allow it. So I do truly think that very soon VR is going to basically take over our world. Almost everyone is going to have one. I mean, even PlayStation, the Morpheus, if that's even what they're still calling it. Which, by the way, a little Easter egg that I found out. Their code name for the PlayStation VR was called the Morpheus, and now the code name for the Sony PS4K is called the Neo. Coincidence? I think not. But anyway, so even because PlayStation is doing it, it's going to be even more adoption for people. And it's that even the PlayStation headset is not as expensive as, for instance, the Oculus Rift or the HTC Vive, because those are incredibly expensive and you need an incredibly powerful computer just to run them. But that's today. Today, I mean, right now is the time for the early adopters. The people who are really going to push it is going to be when virtual reality becomes mainstream. That is when it is truly going to grow and it's going to skyrocket. And from then on, it's never going to stop. So enjoy seeing things normally for now, because I can almost guarantee you that within the next 20 years, virtual reality is going to be used everywhere, and it is going to be used for almost everything. So, if you're watching this way in the future with your virtual reality headset plugged on, tell me, am I right? Tell me in the next 10 years, is this video correct or not? Or am I just shooting into the dark? So, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the video, and goodbye.